The last topic we have to talk about in genetics are pedigrees. A pedigree is very simply a family tree that shows how a trait is being inherited. Now, scientists use pedigrees to help families understand the probability that offspring are going to have certain disorders, as well as to see how different traits are actually getting passed through family lines. Now, because it's more of a scientific purpose, these family trees don't tend to have pictures or names associated with them. Instead, we use very important symbols. When we take a look at these symbols, you're going to see it's very basic, circles and squares. A square is going to represent a male, and a circle is going to represent a female. Now, you'll notice here I also have squares that are shaded and squares that are not. A shaded square simply means it's a male that is affected by the trait. If we were looking at a genetic disorder, that would mean that it was a person who had that genetic disorder. Or if it's a circle that's going to be shaded in, it's a female that's affected by the trait. Sometimes we're not going to look at something as depressing as a genetic disorder, and that would just mean that it's the female possesses whatever trait we're tracing. Then up here, an open circle is a female without the trait, and an open square is a male without the trait. Because again, what's important to the scientists as they're looking at these pedigrees is who has the trait and who possesses it. Now we also have to show the relationships between people. So we are going to use a horizontal line connecting a circle and a square to represent either a marriage or the fact that two people had offspring together. A marriage, or you could call it mating. Then, off of them, we're going to see a vertical line. And a vertical line here is going to represent the next generation. Or it connects to their offspring. Okay? Then we tend to connect the offspring to that line and branch off from there. In this situation, we see that there is a woman and a man who had two children, both of whom are boys. We know that this has two sons because there are two squares that are connected to the mom and the dad. All right, now to kind of make this have a little bit more buy-in factor, I'm going to tell you a little bit about my family for this. Here's a blank pedigree. We're going to eventually fill this in and trace how blue eyes get passed down through my family. However, in this quick video, we're going to first just look at who is who. Now, like I said, it gets a lot more confusing when we have this many people and we don't have names. So scientists are going to label the generations, and they label the generations with Roman numerals. So we have generation 1, then we have generation 2. This whole row represents generation 3, and this represents generation 4. My Roman numerals, again, are my generation numbers. Then we can go through and in each generation number the people. In generation 1, we had 2 people, 1 and 2. Then generation 2, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 people in generation 2. Then in generation 3, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. In generation 4, we had 1, 2, 3 people. Now, using that, we can actually start talking about the relationships between them. I could ask you, what is the relationship between person number 1, 2, and person number 2, 5? So if we take a look here, I'm looking at person 1, 2, and person 2, 5. If we trace these lines, we can see that this person is connected by a different, like a generational line. What that means is that person 2, 5 is the son of person 1, 2, or 1, 2 is the father of 2, 5. Now, if we're looking at this this pedigree, I am person number 3, 3. This is me down here. Okay? What that means is person 1, 2, and 1, 1 are my grandparents. Person 1, 1 is my grandmother because it is I just wrote my grandpa's name. It's a circle. So this is Cheryl. And then here, person 1, 2 is my grandfather, Raisy Daisy. Okay? If we would just trace up from me to person number 2, 3 and person 2, 4, those are my mom and dad. I could call them mom and dad. Or most people refer to them as Ken and Debbie. If we go back to me here, the person that's attached with the offspring line to me is person number 3, 2. That's my brother, Ryan. The person attached by a horizontal line is my husband. Some of you might know him. It's Mr. Giggler. If we build off of my brother, he also has someone that he is attached to by a horizontal line. That's his wife, Anna, or my sister-in-law. They have a offspring line coming down, or the next generation line coming down, and it splits off because they have 2 little girls. Olivia is their first daughter, and their second daughter is Emma. Should go back and probably fill in person number 4, 3. You've probably heard of him before. Person 4, 3 here is my son, Evan. Now, I'd like you to take a look at this pedigree. Try to figure out which people were the children of my grandmother and grandfather. My grandmother is Cheryl, my grandfather is Ray. First, try to figure out how many children they had, and then try to figure out which generations and number, how we would number their children. So take a minute and do that. Pause the video so that you have enough time. When you're done, hopefully you've been able to identify them. They've had 4 kids. Their first child here is person number 2, 2, Scott. Their second child is person 2, 3, and that's my mom, Deb. Their third child is person number 2, 5, and that's Mark, my uncle. And their last child is person number 2, 7, and that's my Aunt Lisa. We didn't go through and label 2, 1, 2, 6, or 2, 8. These are not my grandparents' children. These are people that married into my family. My dad, for example, married my mom. He is not an offspring of Cheryl and Ray. That's why he's not connected by a vertical line to them. Same with person 2, 1, who is my Aunt Jen. Person 2, 6, who is my Aunt Terry. And person 2, 8, who is my Uncle Tom. Now, I'd like you to take a look at a person 3-5, 3-6, 3-7, and 3-8. Try to identify what the relationship is between me and them. I'll give you a minute, so pause the video. Hopefully, you realize that the relationship between me and 3-5 is that they are my cousin. This is my cousin, Mike. He's my cousin because he's the son of my mother's brother. Okay? Same with 6, 7, and 8. This is my cousin, Clay, my cousin, Caroline, and my cousin, Jonathan. Now that wraps up how the relationships work within pedigrees. In the next video, we're going to talk briefly about how we actually can tell how traits are getting inherited through them. So please take a look at this, come back to it, and we'll go from there. Have a great afternoon.